Alright, so hello guys, this is the video for page 3 of the Eduqas GCSE, that's not what I meant to press on, the Eduqas GCSE vocab page, the DVL, so this is page 3. Okay, so we're going to start from the top. Hopefully this video won't take too long. Starting with credo, credere, credidi, creditus. Note this takes the dative because you give your trust to someone, so let's highlight dative. There you go, that shouldn't have done that, never mind. So it takes the dative because you give your trust to someone, you have faith in someone. I suppose the ablative will work better with that, but anyway, it's a third conjugation verb. We're remembering it, the word credence in English, so if someone has credence, it's because they're trustworthy. Okay, next, crudelis, crudele. Now this is an adjective, as it says there, and it's the third declension adjective. I want to make a note here that crudelis, like we talked about when we were doing present participles, so crudelis is the masculine and feminine form, whereas crudele is the neuter form, okay? So crudelis, masculine, feminine, crudele, neuter. Remember, when you get to the genitive, the dative and the ablative, all the forms are the same. Obviously in the neuter plural it's going to be crudela, and in the singular it's going to be crudele, but then it'll be the same. Okay, it means cruel, which basically is the same in English. Okay, come, when it says indeclinable, okay, that means it doesn't change, it doesn't decline. And when it's basically not being used as a preposition or a prefix, which we're about to talk about, it means when or since, okay, often with indicatives. But next, when you see come plus the ablative, hence it's a preposition, it means with. So, for example, cum servo means with the slave. You can also see it as a prefix. That means it's when it's attached to the front of a verb. It's the front of a verb, and then you've got, it can change. We talked about this a bit with offero today, going to obtuli or alfero and abstuli, etc. So this is basically about making the pronunciation easier when it. So, for example, Lego, come Lego is harder to say than collego, which is like to collect because you're gathering things together. So as a prefix, it can mean together. Hence, when I say collego, gather together, collect. Okay, next, cupio, cupere, cupiwi. Okay, you might want to think this means want or desire. It's a third conjugation verb. Think Cupid, that's kind of the, well, you know what Cupid is, like the little baby god type thing that is about connecting you with the person you might desire. For example, there's an adjective, cupidus, cupida, cupidum, which is like passionate, eager for, desirous of, for example. So cupio, cupere, cupiui, want or desire. Next, you've got cur. Now that means why. You should know this word, there's not much I can say about it. Next, these next two I'm going to do together because they're clearly related. Cura, curai, feminine first declension noun, meaning care or worry, and curo, curare, curawi, curatus, a first conjugation verb. Obviously these are related, so the noun means care or worry, whereas the verb is to do with looking after someone or caring for someone, or that should say supervise. Okay, so that makes sense, but don't confuse curo with one R with curo with two R's, so curo, curare, cucuri, cursus, and that means run. Okay, you probably should recognise this verb as well. English words from it, for example, would be concur. So if you concur with someone, it means you agree, but it's i.e. the sense that you're running in the same direction as them, right? So you've got the same mind, and that's an example of an English almost come as a preposition that's changed. Okay. Also, the word course is related to cursus there. Next, custos, custodis, word means guard. No, it can be masculine or feminine. So if you had a female guard, it's probably going to be feminine, but otherwise it might just be dependent on what the author wants to do. English word custodian comes from this. There's also a verb, custodere, so custodio, custodere, and that just means to guard. So that makes sense. Next, de, again, it's as a preposition and it takes the ablative, okay? It means from, down from, or about. And we're going to see an example a little bit down. If I'll give you a spoiler, it's despero, of de meaning down. It can also be an about. So, for example, you might, if you saw the phrase, I don't know, de Britannia, that's more likely to be about Britain. I suppose it could be from Britain or down from Britain. So, especially as a prefix, it's probably going to be to do with from or down from. And motion down from. Next, okay, dea, dei, meaning goddess, first declension noun. Okay, so obviously it's feminine. Related to, I'll point it out now, deus, which is another word you'll know. So deus means God, dea means goddess. It makes sense. Second declensions are usually masculine, first declensions are usually feminine. Okay, English word deity, related to these. Theology is also related to this through the Proto-Indo-European route, which we've talked about before, but it's not that important right now. Okay, so we'll move on from that, and we get to debeo, deberi, debui, debitus. Now this means ought, should, or must. English word debt comes from this. If you owe someone debt, that's the key, you owe money to someone. Okay, so if you're in debt, you owe money to someone, or debt is something you owe, so that's a word to help you remember that. Decem means 10, you probably know it. Things to think about, a decimal is a tenth. Other things, decagon is a 10-sided shape. Then you get deinde, not much you can say about this, it means then. We talked about words like this being adverbs earlier. There's an example, for example. If you say this in a certain way, I guess it sounds a bit like then. I'm not going to attempt it, but a South African accent, for example, would help you with that. Next, deleo, delere, delui, deletus means destroy. English word delete quite clearly comes from deletus. So hopefully that helps. Then you've got despero, desperare, desperari, desperatus. Now this is the verb that I mentioned when we were talking about de. You should see that it's actually made up of de plus spero. Spero, you might know, means like hope. So despero, you despair, is because your hopes have been let down, hence the de. Okay, kind of makes sense. Moving on to dico, dicre, dixi, dictus, means say. Again, you should recognise this. We've seen it a lot before. English words diction and dictionary related to this. So hopefully that helps you. So yeah, dico means say. Next, dies, dae. Right, okay, this means day, and it's weird because it's masculine and it's fifth declension. Remember, I think there are 3 fifth declension nouns in the whole of the DVL, and there are about 3 fourth declension nouns, and we have one of each in this page, and both of which are the opposite gender to what you'd expect. So yeah, remember, day is masculine, and it's one of the 2 that are fully declined, the other one being res. Remember, these ones are characterised by having an E go through a lot of it, so DS, DM, DA, E, DAE, DA, DAs, DAs, DArum, DAbus, DAbus. Means day. It can be feminine, weirdly, when it's a specific appointed day, but largely it's a masculine noun and it's fifth declension. Next, difficulis, difficile, like crudelis, crudelia at the top. Difficulis is masculine or feminine. Difficile is neuter and it's a third declension adjective, and it means difficult. Who'd have thought it? Next, dirus, dira, dirum. Okay, it means dreadful. Obviously it's declining because 212. Things to say about this, not a huge amount. The English word dire, as in Danny Dyer, but not spelled like that, but as in dire, as in something that's terrible, comes from this. Okay, next, discedo, discedere, discesi, depart or leave. Okay, now we've talked about words that have kes and cared. I would keep putting these too early. Early is to do with motion, and dis is to do with going apart. So go apart, hence depart or leave. Okay, next, due, another time adverb. Look, there you go. Just means for a long time. I can't really help you with that. You just need to learn it. Next, dues, duitis. Again, you've got the masculine and feminine here. So, yeah. No, that's not how it works. Ignore me for that. But yeah, this is an adjective meaning rich. Okay. Now this is quite an interesting word because you might not see it, but it's actually related to Deus and Dea. Both is related to the gods basically. So the original adjective was Deus, or it's a separate adjective, but this word came out of Deus, which kind of meant blessed, i.e. blessed by the gods, favoured by the gods, i.e. because if you're rich, you've probably been lucky, and if you're lucky, that's probably because the gods are looking favourably upon you. Okay, next, do, dari, dedi, datus means give. Okay, thing to say about this, what's the case where you give two people called? It's the dative case, it's related to this. Hopefully that'll help you remember it. It's a very common verb that we've seen a lot. Next, domina, domini, and related to it, dominus, domini. Obviously, one's the masculine version, the first declension, domina, mistress. I've said that the wrong way around. One's the feminine version, domina, first declension, mistress. One's the masculine version, dominus, second declension, master. Okay, hopefully you know that. Now, and I mentioned before, there are about 3 fifth and 3 fourth declension nouns in the whole of the DVL, and one of each is on this page, and it's domus here. Okay, domus is house or home. It's 4th declension. Okay, weird things about this, it's feminine, even though most 4th declension nouns are masculine. Domus is feminine, and actually it can be a second declension noun too, and that's also feminine, which is also strange because second declension nouns are largely masculine or neuter occasionally. Remember, the 4th declension is the case that has you going through it a lot, so it's domus, domum, domus, domui, domu, domus, domus, domum, domibus, domibus. Note here it says domi, at home. That's a locative. Okay, you can also have domu as the locative, but domi, you know what, learn this because this might be on the vocab test on Monday. Domi as a locative specifically means at home. Other thing to point out about this, there's loads of words that come from this in Romance languages. The word dome in English is related to this because that's like might be being the home of the gods, for example, if it was a church. So Duomo in Italian. If you've ever been to Florence, for example, the Duomo there is brilliant. Interesting thing about that is that was the biggest freestanding arch since the Pantheon in Rome, which was built in it was rebuilt in the 2nd century AD at the start. So that was for about 1500 years almost, the biggest freestanding dome in the world until the one in Florence came over. Sorry, quick, irrelevant bit there, but interesting. Then donum, doni, it's neuter. I always like to point out the neuter nouns, obviously. It's neuter because donum, second declension, as it says there, means gift or present. Things to say about this, I don't know, I guess you could donate a gift. There is a verb dono, donare, which is again to give or to present. But hopefully you know this word, because apart from that there's not much I can say. Dormio, dormire, dormivi means sleep. It's a 4th conjugation verb. English words dormitory, dorm, related to this. Again, it's a verb you learn very early, so hopefully you know it. Next, we've got duco, ducale, duxi, ductus, means lead or take. We saw today in class dux meaning leader. It's on the next page. Obviously it's related to the verb here, to lead or to take. English words, loads of them. Produce is when you take something forward, literally. If you're a conductor, you might lead someone along with you. That's an example of come again and changing. So con or leading them together. There's lots. Transduct, must be a word. Abduct, take away, all sorts. Okay, dumb means while, indeclinable. It doesn't change, it's always dumb. It will always mean while. We haven't actually met that yet in terms of in the Cambridge Latin course. And finally, duo, duo means two. You could have guessed this. Very much related to other languages you might know. English words dual, spelled D-U-A-L, and dual, spelled D-U-E-L, related to this, and number 2. So I hope this video has been helpful. It's been talking all about the third page of the DVL. Obviously there's a Quizlet set to help you with this. Hopefully this has helped you in some other ways and helps you think of some connections. Alright, goodbye, good luck.